Hello, welcome back to another Pen Talk. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for following along on my exploration of the wonderful world of pens, my journey. So every once in a while, I get a pen that deserves a crab and a rotating turntable, and this is one of them. I gave a little bit of a teaser in one of my earlier videos. This is a Jinhao 100. Also referred to as the Centennial pen, and this is in that orange cracked ice acrylic pattern, which I think is very excellent. The eBay auction was very reasonable, and it got delivered in 12 days from placing of order to receipt in my mailbox. That's impressive. That almost sets a record. My record is actually 1 week, which was a couple months ago. So it's glad to see that shipping is returning to normal for some items, not for all, but for some. So we're going to explore this pen, compare it to other pens. You may think of a few that it might be compared to, both from its design and from the material that it's made of. So we're going to let it twirl by one more time. We're going to let Mr. Crab give you a wink, and then we're going to dive in. And here he is. It's a plastic sleeve that Jinhao 100 came in, and that date is very interesting because that's the ship date, August 15th of 2020. So I always thought these labels were put on when the pen was made. So if that's the case, this pen was made and shipped on the same day. This is about as fresh as a pen can get. We always talk about your mileage will vary, and so these are two pens which in theory are basically the same pen, except the barrel and cap are made out of a different acrylic, it's a turned acrylic. But in the orange marmalade one, I was able to unscrew the nib assembly from the section, but on the plain orange one, solid orange one, I wasn't able to unscrew it, but I was able to pull out the nib. So things are just inconsistent. And that's one of the traits of inexpensive pens like this from China. They're mass produced. At the price that you pay for the pen, you're not going to get each pen hand assembled and hand tuned or all those other things, but I'm fine with that. I mean, it doesn't affect the function of the pen, and that's to me is the most important part. It's time for some LED light exploration. I really like that orange resin. We've compared it to the Delta, which I think really popularized that resin, and it does have some translucency to it. And there is a cap liner in there. If we look inside, we'll see it. We'll also see there's a brass hardware that's holding the finial and the clip and everything else together. So considering the price of the pen, I think they used quality components, and that's always nice to see. The plating is good once I get my fingerprints off of it. And the section also has that higher level look to it because you got that metal piece here holding the converter solidly in place. You got that metal ring at the end, which I could do without, but I know it's a mark. Some people think of a higher quality pen. And this brass piece is the one that's threaded to accommodate the nib assembly. So, I mean, for under $15 US pen, it's built very, very well, and the quality is nice. And it survives the LED examination. And while we're talking about a high quality little detail, is this rubber O-ring is a really nice addition there. It's a little groove that's machined into that brass plated piece here. So when you screw down the barrel and you can just spin the barrel on, you get that little turn where you feel that resistance, and it really tightens up well, so the barrel is not going to accidentally come unscrewed. So again, a nice feature, not usual in these lower end pens. So this resin needs to be compared to the resin that Delta used in their pens, and I do have a few of them. To me, the resin on the Jinhao is on the yellow side of orange, and there's a more clear bits in it. It doesn't have as much of that pearlescence that the Delta had in their resin, but it is nice in its own way, and I enjoy it. And this is certainly an oversized Dolce Vita. And this is a Dolce Vita Zen, and this is a Dolce Vita Oro, in case you're interested. And I do have separate reviews on each of these pens, the Deltas. So here are some of the dual fold-like designs that I would like to compare. These are all pens from China. So up here are the two M600s. I have a lot more than two, but I felt that these two I wanted to include in this group here. Overall, of these 4 different varieties, the Moonman M600S to me is the best buy. It's extremely well made. It's a good size. It's just consistently good. The Jinhao comes in a close second, but not exactly. And this Wingsung model is a third, a little bit more of a distant third. Yeah, the plating had some pitting in it. I don't like these clean designs on the cap. I don't like big cap bands like this in this type of pen. I thinking something a little bit smaller just blends in better. This uses 2 different thicknesses of cap bands, which are nice. I mean, they all have the black finial at the end, the black finial at the top. The Moonman has that Parker-esque arrow design clip. This one is a unique clip on it, and the Jinhaos are a Jinhao clip that they've used a lot. So hopefully this is a nice, interesting portrait. And we're going to just throw a little bit more light on the issue just to see how those colors change. I've added LED to sunlight, and then we're going to come in with more LED. And sometimes the light really makes the resins pop. Sometimes it gives the colors a different look. You know, this is that brown one that disappeared very, very quickly. I think they called it like a cellulose acetate versus an acrylic. Obviously, amber is unto itself, and the other ones that you have. So hopefully that was an interesting visual demonstration. I thought we'd do a little exploration of color. So one of the things to keep in mind is the color wheel. Oh, there's yellow, there's orange yellow, yellow orange, and then red orange. So a lot of range there in the colors. If we look at the pens, obviously the Wingsung is yellow. The Delta is definitely, I think, in an orange, and this is, I think, more on the yellow side of orange than the orange side of orange, if that is something to talk about. We got a lot of different light coming in, so that makes it interesting. And also this resin has more transparency to it than the Delta resin did. Probably there's an appeal to everybody for one of these colors, or maybe all 3. I would be remiss if I didn't show some other orange pens. Not a very common color in pens, but here we have the Jim Hines Elementar in Creamsicle Pen BBS, and its nice little swirly orange resin. Karas Pen Company Fountain K in a tumbled anodized orange, and a Franklin Christoph in that cracked ice orange. Let's throw some color on it. Now we just have muted sunlight, so we're going to add some LEDs. The camera's going to self-adjust. Then we're going to see if those colors come out a little bit differently with some added light. It's always interesting, I think, to explore these colors with a little bit of a different light source on them. I do like my orange pens. They are nice. So what ink can always be a tough question for that new pen when you receive it. And I'm still into have the ink color representative of the pen color. That way when you pull the pen out of the 100 of them that you have inked up, you can say, oh, I know the color of the ink in this pen. This is an ink I haven't used much, but it certainly is a very interesting orange, good packaging. You know, that Pelican 4001 design ink bottle there. The color card is not a lot of interest. It's an orange ink. It's on the dark side of orange. It's pretty much orange. And if we look at the chromatography, we'll again confirm that it's pretty much orange. So of all the orange inks that I have, I think this one really is an orange ink. So before we put nib to paper, we're going to just discuss this model a little bit. It feels substantial in the hand. It'll give you those weights. The cap comes off in a little bit over 2.5 turns, so it's a little bit much. The nib is very good looking. Yeah, the Jinhao classic number 6 nib with a chariot on there and the amazingly marketing phrase of 18 karat gold plate, as though we were concerned about that. So the pen fits fine in the hand without it being posted. That section, here's the dimensions, is pretty much spot on the money for me. Those threads you don't really feel, so if you want to hold it away from the nib, that's fine. I like that little flare out at the end. As with all dual fold designs, not a model that I would post, but it doesn't throw the balance off as much as some, but it certainly makes for a very long pen. So during the writing sample, it will not be posted. The nib is very smooth and pretty wet. So it's a nib that certainly hits the sweet spot for me. And this ink works extremely well in this pen. Very nice combo. So let's rate the pen. And this is a tough one because I do really like the pen. I need to put it in perspective of other pens. So I'm going to give it a 9.1. And I'm going to give it one check for the nib. It's a standard Jinhao nib that writes consistently well, and they've been making them for many, many years. You know, in the X750, X450, and the 159. So no surprises there, but we still need to recognize that it is a good nib. Overall general nib, and one check for the look. There's nothing innovative about the design, but there's nothing also detracting about the design. And I think we need to give it 2 checks for value, because at the price point of under $15 US, this is a great buy. Some people fixate on the number that I give, but it's basically, to me, it's how the pen appeals to me. I try to give you all the details and visuals and show you how it writes, so hopefully you can make your own opinion on how that pen fits into your writing preferences and whether it's a pen you would like to explore more and have in your possession. So we've reached the end of this video. Thank you for watching. May you find a great pen to write with, something that both provides you with a physical writing sensation that you enjoy and hopefully appeals to you visually, because we can't ignore that pens are a visual element, and that visual appeal obviously impacts our quality of our experience with that writing instrument. That is a lot of words. So, hope you're staying safe and healthy and happy in these trying times. We reached the end of this video. Put some ink on paper. You're amazed at how cathartic that may be. We're going to say bye for now. Until the next video. Nice ink nib combo.